Cultural do's and don'ts in South Korea. Korea, like other countries, has its own customs, traditions, and rules for manners. Some of these customs are completely fine in your country, but are considered offensive in Korea. These fascinating differences are necessary to learn when you are learning about a different country. Bowing when meeting someone. Formal settings can include meeting future parents-in-law, your child's teacher, or even a blind date, or a job interview. The more serious the meeting, so like for instance an important business meeting, meeting your future in-laws for the first time, the more respect should be shown. And in Korea, respect is all in the bow. Don't give one of those casual nodding style bows you give to your mates or a convenience store lady. Make sure your bow is serving its purpose and that you are putting in the effort. It's good to note that effort levels are often noticeable in bows. Handshakes are also commonly used when bowing. However, it's more common for Korean men to offer a handshake than women. Most Korean names consist of 3 Korean syllables. The Korean last name is always placed before the first name. Korean women do not change their last name upon marriage. If you're meeting a Korean male that is older than you, he may introduce himself using Mr. plus his family name. Koreans are very conscious of using the proper title based on rank, so some men don't want to be called by their first names. If he says his name is Mr. Kim, then that is fine to call him that. However, be aware when he introduces you to his wife that she may likely not be Mrs. Kim. No, it's probably not from a messy divorce. When Koreans marry, the children take the father's family name, but the wife keeps her own name. What to do? Stick to the name calling rules we outlined above and you'll be all set. Just ask your Korean colleagues how they'd like to be referred to. Okay, if you've looked at the title of this next slide, you're probably having a little bit of a chuckle. Because yes, it is common to use toilet paper in a public area in Korea. You may be shocked when you see toilet paper in the living room or even on the dinner table. That's because Koreans use toilet paper similar to how we use paper towels or serviettes. I guess it's quite convenient. So you might be shocked if some Korean friends suggest that you use the toilet paper, or they actually wipe your food off your mouth or anything like that out of affection or kindness. In Korea, toilet paper is used anywhere in houses, offices, and classrooms. It's not dirty. It's just tissue paper on a roll. Each culture has different ideas about what is clean or not clean, so don't decide that it's dirty, but try to accept that it's different. It is very normal to ask someone's age. In South Korea, it's absolutely normal to ask someone's age, so people don't get offended if you ask. In Western countries, we see it as being rude if you ask someone's age, obviously if they're older. This is a great example of etiquette differences between countries. Koreans ask your age in order to determine what kind of language they need to use when talking with you. For example, if you meet someone in class for the first time, you would ask what year you were born, or how old are you? Then if they are older than you need to start using formal language and show respect to them. On the other hand, if the person is younger than you can speak casually with them, whereas they must speak formally to you. Take a small gift when invited into a Korean home. The exchange of gifts is an important one in Korean life, closely linked to showing respect. Keeping good kiban, or mood, or feeling of being comfortable in a state of mind, and being courteous. A gift of fruit, flowers, wine, or liquor should be taken whenever you visit someone's home. When visiting the home of a Korean family, a small gift for preschool children, if there are any in the home, and one for the most elderly person, a grandparent or for instance, would be also considered courteous. And do always use two hands. When you receive something from your supervisor or someone who is older than you, remember to use both hands. This simple gesture might be overlooked to foreigners, but is an important non-verbal way to show respect for the elderly or anyone that is considered above you in rank or position. Wait until the eldest is served first. The most senior person is the one who starts the eating process. If you want to make a good impression at the dinner table, before you pick up your chopsticks, take a look at your eating companions. Unless you are the eldest person at the table, it is good manners to wait before eating. Korean culture values letting the oldest person at the table eat first, so don't just pick up your utensils and start to chow down. What to do? If you're not sure of the other people's age relative to yours, it is best to wait and let the others get started first. Likely your host or the dinner organizer will give you the green light to start eating, but better be safe than sorry. Your dining colleagues will be impressed with your efforts to learn Korean manners. Don't forget to remove your shoes prior to entering a private home or even your own hotel room if you're staying at a traditional lodging. In Korea, you will always find a shoe shelf or an area where Koreans keep their shoes. For example, if you're at a restaurant where you sit on the floor at a low table, you will need to take off your shoes beforehand. Also, when you enter someone's house, you must take off your shoes and leave them at the entrance. A lot of us do that here in Australia as well. Don't blow your nose in public. Koreans find it disgusting. If the need arises, slip off to the toilet or find another private spot. For those learning Korean, a runny nose is known as nasal mucus. In many countries, one of the most annoying noises is to hear someone constantly sniffling and inhaling through a runny nose. Think at school when there was that one classmate who you wanted to give a box of Kleenex to in order to soothe your own ears. But for Koreans, that sniffling noise is not nearly as offensive or annoying. However, the act of blowing your nose is quite unpleasant for Koreans to hear. This is especially true at the dinner table. So, if you feel like you need to clear out your sinuses, best to excuse yourself and head to the restroom. When calling other people, Korean etiquette often dictates the use of titles instead of names. So rather than calling your father-in-law Mr. Park, the title Aboji, father, is more appropriate. Most of the time, the titles are quite obvious. Example, teachers, bosses. So, for instance, Mr. Pate, we wouldn't call Mr. Pate, we would say principal. If you're not sure what to call the other person, just ask. It's not an uncommon question in Korea. If it's an awkward question for you, pull someone else to the side and ask, what do I call this person? Don't call a person over with your palm facing up. And don't fold your arms in front of yourself when in the company of older people. This is considered rude. Rather, leave them hanging by your side. This is another gesture relating to your hands. In some Western cultures, people make a gesture with their index fingers or hands with their palm facing up to indicate, come here, please. I'm sure a lot of you have had teachers do that. Interesting, this gesture can be offensive to Korean people. Koreans use this gesture to only call animals, not humans. When you ask someone to come, you use a gesture somewhat similar to go away in America. Your palm facing downward, you motion your hand towards your body instead of away from your body. Don't stick your chopsticks in your rice. Never do this when you're eating a meal, as upright chopsticks resemble the incense burnt at funerals or ancestor worships. During the meal, don't hold the rice bowl or soup bowl. Unlike in many other Asian countries, in Korea it's unusual to lift your rice or soup bowl while you're eating your meal. Please keep it on the table throughout the meal and use your spoon to eat the rice instead of chopsticks. It can be tempting to lift your soup bowl to slurp up the remaining liquid, especially if it's delicious. But as you've probably guessed, that doesn't look great when you're at a dinner party. Don't worry, your spoon will be just fine at getting those last bits into your mouth. No lifting required. Don't write anyone's name, even your own, in red ink, as this traditionally signifies death. Did you know that it is considered extremely offensive to write someone's name in red ink? Writing a person's name in red ink means that he or she is deceased, and if he or she is still alive, it means that the person who wrote your name wishes that you were dead. Red ink was used in the past to write a deceased person's name, so it's a traditional thing. So it should go without saying that you shouldn't write your friend's name down in red ink. Now complete page 12 in your workbook.